Hello everybody, this is your friend Neighbor Titan here, and today I bring you the Black Desert Online Beta Episode 2. So, this is a little bit ahead from the last episode. I somehow lost the footage of Red Nose. So I'm looking at the missions real fast. A lot of this episode is pretty much fighting, so a lot of these missions in this game are super grindy. So I've sped up a lot of these. I caught a little bugger attacking somebody's horse. That's why it's extremely important when you have a horse to put it somewhere safe, away from combat. Enemies like draw towards your horse like crazy. I had one time a boss attack my horse over attacking me. That should give you an idea. I mean, you can get your horse back by recovering it, but buying it from a stable master, which is easy to find. There's one in Hydal City. It's the second city you come across. The first city you come across is Vieli, and Vieli is more like a stop than it is a place you can enjoy. There actually is a stable master in Vieli, I think. So you just walk up to the stable master, you buy a beginner horse for 15,000 silver, and go into the stable, and then it'll say register a horse emblem, and then you register the horse emblem. You just have to have it in your inventory when you go to him and talk to him to register it. So this is also the skills menu. Meteor Shower is like a higher power skill. It's actually way easier to rely on lightning and the fireball explode. This ultimate spell, it gives you super armor, but you'll see in a minute why it takes so much time to cast. When you finally do cast it kills everything overwhelmingly, but it just doesn't, I don't know, for the time spent on it,
it doesn't feel like it'd be useful in PvE as much as it is in probably PvP. Even then in PvP, you gotta warrant the effort of having a cast. So that was Fireball Explosion. Back R1, which is the melee attack. You push back on your analog stick and R1 at the same time, it'll cast a fireball. When you do that, you also have to hit R2, which causes the fireball to explode. So once you get that combo down, it's really effective against enemies. R1, R2 is how you drop the meteor shower. But ultimately, it's just a bit of a waste of time and a bit of magic power, and you get hurt a lot using it. Even with that super armor, the super armor just doesn't feel justified for the amount of effort you put into it. Later on, you get like protected area and a spell called Magical Shield, which buff your defense, and then if you mix those with the ultimate attack, like Meteor Shower, Blizzard, and stuff like that, it might be worth it, but I wouldn't hold my breath. Alright, right here I'm gathering up a bunch of enemies to show you how effective Meteor Shower was. Quite frankly, I just thought it was cool when I was using it. They get tons of damage on me before they get wiped out. But even then, it left one alive. Like, it just doesn't feel like it's worth the time investment and the magic investment. See, that magical shield, that's something you probably use in conjunction with Meteor Shower or Blizzard or Earthquake, I think the other one is. I'm pretty confident Thunderstorm is which is another spell you get later on in the future, is a lot like Fireball Explosion, where you just combo it with Chain Lightning instead of Fireball. In much of the same method, where you cast it and then you just hit R2, boom, and it happens. L2 usually is used as like a modifier for most of your attacks, so
And this also applies to when you are healing.
So with the upgraded move of healing, you push L2 and square and it does a healing lighthouse, which will heal you and your allies around you. And then you hit just square to use your healing ability, which also fills some of your magic points that I've noticed. Yeah, see, that's just, it's not worth the amount of effort. You use a ton of magic points and you get ruined even with the super. Those little buggers, they follow you everywhere. Took a nice swing at the air. Why not? So, if you push L2 and up on the D-pad, you get a secondary ring menu that allows you to call your mount or to put a waypoint towards your mount. Now, to call your mount, I think you might need a whistle. Actually, no. I don't think I have the whistle at that point. Of course, this is overkill right here. You can communicate with your horse. It'll either bring up its health, it might give it a speed boost, and it might give you some stamina back. It just depends. I think it's easier now, after I've gotten further on in the game and got to play it for as long as I have, which I'm super lucky to have done, that it's best just to keep carrots on you. They're very inexpensive. They're like $5 a piece. So, what you saw there was a repeat quest. It's basically a kill quest that you can repeat, and I ended up later on in the game getting to the final boss at level 42 instead of being level 45, and I fear I may have missed an upgrade that the main quests give you for your weapons. Well, they give you an item to upgrade your weapons even further. By the time I had gotten to the end of the game that I played to, I had a weapon that was stronger than anything in the market you could buy on the beta. I don't know if the stores from people on computer are still up when you're playing on a PS4, but as far as I've seen, I had the strongest weapon you could get, strongest armor you could get, all of that. Just short of the quest. Of course, this lady's talking about a bunch of imps that attacked her. There's a lot of these little.
Oh, those imps! Oh, please drive them out!
Stop-by-stop grinding missions.
Wounding Wizard's Tower.
A bit of them have some story, but they don't really connect very well to the main storyline. It's just kind of like some people have problems, you go out and you fix them. You always want to make sure that you go back into your quests and make certain that you have set the waypoint to go to where you need to go to, especially if you're going to use auto run. Because auto run, like I said before, it is not the best. So those silver bars and gold bars, you take them to what's called a storage keeper in the cities, and they give you silver in exchange. So it's very easy to get, you know, about 1 million silver saved up in no time. So right here, I'm just basically going back through the mission of killing the imps, because it never hurts to try and level yourself up higher, because at the very end, I'd gotten to that level of 42, and I needed to be level 45 at that point to take part of a quest that leveled you up even further. But you just got to get real comfortable with the fact that you're going to be grinding mostly in this game. I'm gonna put a jump right here real fast, just so that way we can speed this up a little bit. After you get all that done, you start getting back to the main story. This is me looking at all the skills. You have tons of skills to pull from. That speed boost, I'd probably pass on it, because you have a horse, and generally speaking, you don't use that speed boost. That and the magical lighthouse, it's not nearly as effective as the Spirit Heart house, something like that. The Spirit Heart house actually gives you magic back instead of the aggro range of it. The Magic Lighthouse, for some reason, is like a thing for PvE enemies to aggro. It's not nearly as effective as the Healing Lighthouse and the Spirit Heart Lighthouse, which both make like the same animation, but one gives you health, one gives you magic. You combine that with protected area, and you have quite a good bit of turtle ability. So basically the mission that she gave you is to go in there and get a ring. Pretty much what I'm doing. It is quite annoying how sometimes you'll get an enemy who will just be able to walk up to you and hit you while you're in the middle of a quest. So hop on old buddy Bubbles. It's also annoying how you can sometimes get into houses on top of a horse. Well, you can get a horse inside of a house, but you can't get on top of it and go back out of it with it. And finally, you give this back to her. See, this part right here, it's not extremely eventful. It's more of the, like, the really grindy part that you gotta work your way through to get to the fun parts. Like I was saying in the last episode, you really want to put your horse somewhere safe. Especially if you ain't got, like, carrots to heal it and refill its stamina. This is me looking over all my equipment, making sure I ain't got nothing that's any better than what's equipped. There are like worker specific clothes that you can wear as a full outfit, and they buff your fishing ability and your gathering ability and stuff like that. And each one has the role, like you have a miner's clothes, you have fisher's clothes, you have gatherer's clothes, you have farmer's clothes. You have
Hello
general
there,
goods
I'm
merchants
Laura.
here.
Take a look around, adventurer. This place is
So it looks like there's elves, dwarves, those little
I feel
halfling
like
people.
my mind gets clearer when I look into the eyes of an animal.
Humans and trolls and goblins and catfish people. There's quite a few races actually in this game. I've not really figured out what you would consider these people. I made a mistake at first. I didn't take that mission because it had a bunch of red text on it, and usually red means red flag. So probably should have took it. In hindsight, I probably should have went with that mission. Basically, the whole point of going out there is to get the silver this guy owes this lady named Elizabeth to the left.
Isabel won't be holding your head.
Or Isabel, my bad, not Elizabeth.
Calpheon, those scoundrels.
Now here's where you get a crossroad. One says that you basically talk with the Black Spirit, you go out and fight things. Or you can go and listen to the opposition and how they view things and how their point of view on the matter is fairly different versus Bobby Lurin, which is this guy. Or you can do one where it fills out the story better, that's about the Chamberlain over the city. I of course picked the one with the Chamberlain over the city, because I'd rather figure out more of the story, watch more cutscenes than I would, you know, killing a bunch of stuff or listening to some opposition's opinions on the matter. Also, the repeating of words in this game, it gets kind of nerve-wracking sometimes. Especially when you're trying to read something. Like, they give you a good paragraph or something of stuff to read, and then you have
open field. There's nothing
a guy who repeats the same words 15 times.
Like Calpheon. It's too hectic and people are inconsiderate in Calpheon.
Now, here I always check each stable I went to see if maybe somebody was offering a better horse, but all of them just offered a beginning horse, and the wagons are about the same. You have the shabby wagon, the flimsy wagon, then you have the farm wagon. I of course went for the farm wagon because it was moderately easy to get silver, especially when you started getting all the gold from everybody. You got a ridiculous amount of gold bars from people in this game as you progress down the storyline. I think I ended the game with about 4,000, no, not 4,000, 4 million to about, it was almost 5 million silver. And I'm pretty confident if I put a little bit more effort into it, I could have easily gotten 6, probably even 8.
Hello, this is Heidel Ferry.
If you looked in your profile during this beta, they gave you tons of awesome goodies that you got each day that you most likely would not have gotten in the normal game. Like that fish costume I'm wearing, that's a pearl item. You would have been paying actual currency for that. But because it's a beta, they gave it out liberally.
Heidel, the capital city of Serendia. It was declared as a tributary state after Calpheon's invasion in Elonian year 277. The Jean Alliance from Calpheon took commercial supremacy and started to dominate Heidel. King Crucio Domingat, who was taken hostage after the war, returned to Heidel. However, he was reduced to a feudal lord and completely lost his political will. Now, Grand Chamberlain Jordian Dukas is arising as a new leader.
If you have a lot of stuff, leave it with me.
This is the oddest looking
Within your
dwarf in the
allowed
world.
space, of course.
He has silver eyebrows and a brown beard. I was
Money
completely
comes
thrown
and
off.
goes. It's an ethereal thing.
Also, if you have a contribution points, you can buy, you can rent certain items from characters throughout the game. May it be a farm, which is basically just a fence. It's like a fencing that you get from them. You have a large fence, a small fence, and a plain fence. You always want to try and go for the large fence, which Heidel has one from a guy named Flavor or Flavarian, whatever his name is. Specifically, I do not know.
You've come to the right place if you're looking to contract with workers.
One other important thing is use strength for workers. Like, to hire workers, you need 5 strength or 5 energy, whatever they want to call it. And generally speaking, you want a worker that is good at stamina for gardens and speed for other things. I know that as far as gardens go, you want to hire giants because they'll do all the weeding and the taking care of it and ensuring that it's safe, and you get to reap the benefits of just going over to the plant and pulling it up. I was really hoping that the workers would pull it out for you and get seeds and the item and then turn it into the places that put it into crates, and whenever you have it in crates, it's worth more as a selling object. So that's a way to build the economy, and your economy specifically, in this game, to where you can be able to just drop 11 million silver on something and not have to care so heavily about it. I spoke to this guy and I wasn't really confident about what he was about. I tried to read as much as I could out of it to just build up my knowledge, because your energy slash strength is what I call it in this game is dictated by how much knowledge you have. So you have to talk to every vendor to gain knowledge. You don't have to go into a full conversation with them, which is a whole little mini game of itself. But you have to at least speak to them. What you just saw there is basically me toggling on the fish suit that was a pearl item and off. You can turn those on and off as you see fit, which I thought was pretty cool. So even if your equipment at the end of the day doesn't look how you specifically want it, besides your weapon, I don't know if the weapon has a pearl cover up for it or not, but cosmetically you can change the look of your armor with pearl items, and hopefully they offer in the store and when the game comes out a permanent item that you can use to cover up the armor if you don't particularly like it. One other thing I had was a die set that I got, and it lasts 7 days or so. Hopefully they'll offer it as a permanent. I also got a horse flute in the future, and I think it was supposed to last 7 days, but hopefully there's a permanent in the game when it releases. And hopefully it's not like you have to buy that certain version of the game to get the horse flute. Hopefully you can buy a permanent horse flute from the market. I thought this statue was pretty neat. It was supposed to be like one of the big moments of the battle between Calpheon and Heidel. Which, Calpheon, basically in this game, is like a big Roman city. It has, like, a Catholic church in it and everything. It has really went the whole way. There's Flaviano?
I have a sickness that
Flaviano.
doesn't allow me to recognize
So,
faces.
Flaviano
Looks like they're in trouble with the Jean Church again.
is the one you get the strong fence from. And you can only get the strong fence if you have 10 contribution points. You get contribution points from missions, so...
Leave them all up to me.
And I've also noticed that these weapons you see up here, the only reason I'd probably purchase them is to buff them with black stones, and I would get the strongest one possible. Because the main story gives you a weapon that does like 53 damage super hit, or it has 53 attack power, or whatever you want to call it. And it hits super hard. So these are your titles. As you saw me, I went up into the profile. If you go one more over, so if you hit R1 one more time, you go into gifts, and then that's where you claim them at. But there are a ridiculous tons of titles in this game. There is so many titles, it's ridiculous. You have to kill a bunch of enemies of a specific type to get certain titles for combat, so. I killed tons of catfish people and tons of lizardmen. That's the only ones that I really think I accomplished in getting. There's the dye pattern thing I got
Is it a craft
from
order?
the gifts.
Or a repair, perhaps? Leave them all up
I
to
think
me.
this right here gives you the capability of kind of narrowing down what kind of quests you run into, or the ones that the game kind of directs you towards. So this is the challenge. I call it the gift box. So you go to the gift box and it says goal, time, event, complete, reward. Complete is just all the rewards you've claimed so far. So if you went to reward, you would end up
Treat animals
opening
with
up
care.
all the things the game gave you as a reward for whatever you accomplished in the game. So there's a flute in this game. I do not know what it's for. I mean, I understand that there's a horse flute, but I don't know what the freaking flute is for. There's also a Grand Adventurer Still, but at least with the Grand Adventurer Still, I know that you use it to get a quest that is only offered in certain
Do
regions
you also want to become my assistant?
each day or so. It's like a daily quest that you can take, but you can only take it if you have that Adventurer's Seal. And then you have the fence, which is a garden, of course.
Looks like I need to test your
So like I was
abilities first.
mentioning before, there's specific uniforms in this game that buff gathering skill and all that. So whenever the game does come out, keep in mind that they're extremely expensive. They're like 1,500,000 silver. Later on in the game, that'll be chump change for you, but at the very beginning, it's kind of rough to get into. Anyways, this is the second episode of Black Desert Online. I hope you enjoyed it. It's just the beta, keep that in mind. Don't forget that there's links down in the description below and to subscribe. And I thank you so much for everything. Bye.